Hello, and welcome to I Can't Say It, day 234. Again, I apologize for this light here. It's kind of annoying, isn't it? Does that make it any better? Well, at least my head's... I still have the halo, but you can still see my face. So I found this article. Back in the day, I was of the habit of printing out articles that I thought were interesting and saving them, and then never rereading them. So this article says what Bush could learn from Lincoln, and it is dated December 24th, 2005, written by Robert Kuttner. And it has to do with Doris Kearns Goodwin book, Team of Rivals, and the suggestion that George Bush could learn something from Abraham Lincoln. And it goes on to talk about how, George Bush has red states and blue states, while Lincoln had blue states and gray states. It says here, which I thought this was very interesting, very telling, Lincoln's priority always was to preserve the Union and to reduce the sectional and ideological bitterness. As Goodwin brilliantly shows, he did this by the force of his personality and the generosity of his spirit. Lincoln had an unerring sense of when public opinion was ready for partial then full abolition of slavery, and he would not move until he felt he had the people behind him. He governed by listening and persuading. Which that does sound fairly accurate with everything I've heard about Lincoln. By contrast, Bush's entire presidency is about eking out narrow victories, not about building national consensus. Even when he prevails, Bush wins by manipulation and stealth. His legacy is deepened division and bitterness. As we all remember, we all did say that Bush lived in a bubble, and that his people surrounded him from, let's see what it says here, the realities that might upset him or challenge his dimly informed certitudes. Strangely, that sounds like Donald Trump. Lincoln, by contrast, had the confidence to reach out to critics and seek out widely divergent viewpoints. If we watch and listen to who Donald Trump talks to, it doesn't sound like he does that either. As we all know, the reason why it's called the Team of Rivals is that Abraham Lincoln included all sorts of people in his cabinet. He included people who didn't necessarily agree with him all the time. He did not pick yes men. As we do know, Donald Trump has picked yes men. His cabinet meetings are there to really just for show and for each of his cabinet members to praise him. That doesn't really sound like the kind of cabinet you want working for you. If you're the head of a corporation or even just a regular director or manager with a couple of direct reports to you, you're not there for them to just say yes. They are there to help you and the organization. If they're questioning everything that's going on, and these people are supposed to be bright that you're hiring, well, one presumes that you go out and you hire smart, intelligent people, and they've got question after question after question. You got to wonder, are we really doing the right thing? And I sense that there isn't a whole lot of this going on in the Trump cabinet. I really do think that they all do seem to work independently, and that they aren't necessarily all working in the same direction. They're not all moving towards the betterment of this country. It says further down here, Bush, despite today's ubiquity of media, doesn't read newspapers, much less the internet, and he settles for carefully filtered briefings. Again, that sounds like Donald Trump, who has no time for briefings, and things have to be done audibly because he can't read more than a paragraph or two. I'm like, really, dude? Because, you can't get a whole lot of information from just a couple of paragraphs. Sometimes it's got to take longer than that. And that's the job that you signed up for. Sure, you can say you can change it. No, I got all I need to know, from the 2 paragraphs. And it's like, well, you really don't know that. You think so, but there's no way to tell whether you had all the information or not. It says here, Lincoln gained incomparably in wisdom over 4 years. Does anyone think George W. Bush is wiser now than in 2001? Do we think that Donald Trump is any wiser now than he was? Well, not about governing. He may be wiser about the way things are done in Washington, but he's got a whole lot of stuff going on that's probably making it hard for him to do his job. But as we've read, he doesn't seem to start his day until about 11, and he's over at 5, and he only works 4 days a week, so he's only putting 20 hours in a week. So he's not really pushing himself. He's not, I don't really think he's doing the job that he could be. But then again, he is 71 years old. Now, Mick Jagger is 75. And I think that Mick Jagger could do a much better job of being president than, say, Donald Trump. I mean, I do think that Mick Jagger is, well, he's not qualified necessarily to do president, but then I don't think Donald Trump was qualified to be president. George W. Bush, at least, was governor of Texas. That at least, gives you some qualifications of running a government organization. I'm really still not convinced that Donald Trump was qualified to be president, but our system does not require that you be qualified to be president. Our system requires that you get the most votes, electoral votes, not popular votes, because as we know, Donald Trump lost the popular vote, but won the electoral vote. I'm just trying to imagine Keith Richards or Mick Jagger as being president. I don't think he would do it. He would be like, dude, I got so much better things to do. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no. So I really think he would just, it's not the thing he would do. My point being, of course, that Donald Trump is not a 71 years young kind of person. He is a 71 years old person. And not necessarily the best fit for the role. But like I said, we don't vote on fitness. We vote on whatever our particular feelings are about how we think the person's going to do the job and what they care most about. Sometimes it's one item, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's a lot of items. Here we go. Bush relies on secondhand inspirations of a speech-writing staff. He blathers when he wanders off script. Lincoln wrote his own words, including the timeless eloquence of the second inaugural or the Gettysburg Address. More often, his eloquence was extemporaneous. Yep. Kind of funny how this was Bush in 2001 to 2009. Then we had President Obama, and now we've gone to President Trump, who seems a whole lot like President Bush, which I think might be kind of telling and maybe something to talk about in a future episode of I Can't Say It. But with that, I can't see, hold on, let's see, 8 minutes in. Okay, we're 9 minutes into this. So why don't I finish for now, head off to bed so that I can get a good night's sleep, and we will see you all tomorrow.